listening to JANT Radio.
Hey, what's up, everyone? You're listening to JANT Radio, the podcast edition. And today is a Conversations episode. The first part, you will be listening to an interview that was done with Margaret Cho. This one took place about a month or so after her first comedy film, the one about me, first came out. And the second part, you'll be listening to an interview with Toyama of Visas and Virtues. He's the producer for the film. Also, you'll be hearing just a few articles, reading a few articles for some of my writers for APR that was done a few years ago. But I believe this interview took place back in 2000, and you'll hear myself and Margaret Cho, and together with Suzanne Kai of Asian Connections, a online publication, Asian American publication that I used to do some work for. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the episode, and let's go ahead and start.
Hello, Margaret. I see that you've won a Gracie Allen Award for your celebrity profile. That's pretty awesome. And then your movie coming out, and I believe you have a book coming out as well. So let's go ahead and start with a few basic questions when we get into the serious ones. Let's start where were you born and raised, and did you grow up with a strict Korean American upbringing?
I grew up in San Francisco, and my parents, I guess it wasn't really, it was strict, but it was very much like the Korean side is very hidden because my parents didn't really teach us to speak Korean, so they could talk about us behind our back when they were right in front of us.
Okay.
So they spoke Korean to each other, but we had no idea what they were saying. My brother and I had no idea what they were saying.
Okay.
So I kind of learned to understand some Korean words, but I don't really understand that much.
Okay.
But it was fairly strict.
Okay. Now, was the situation with your brother and the fishbowl, was that true?
Oh, yes. That was true. That was very interesting.
Okay. Let's start with this question. Let's talk about your appearance on Pride magazine. First, let's talk about that job in Stormy Leather. How was that experience?
Oh, that was great, because Stormy Leather is great, lesbian, and I guess it's for every kind of sexuality, but it's owned and led by lesbians, and it's kind of a leather S&M store. It's for alternative sexuality. And growing up in San Francisco, I really had a pretty good handle on alternative sexuality, but actually working there really opened me up to a lot of different experiences and different people. And I think that it's really great. I think that sexual freedom is so interesting and so political, and that when we're allowed to do whatever we want, there really is an amazing selection of things you can do. I mean, I learned about so many crazy things that people do, and it was really great, and it was really free. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but I just think it's great. So it was a great way to grow up, and some people, when they're a teenager, have a paper route. I made leather dildos. Different directions to go in, and it really was a wonderful gateway into that world.
Now, how did you explain to your parents that you had a job making leather dildos?
I still don't.
And what was their reaction?
They didn't know. They actually still don't know. They don't really know what it is. When I talk about things in my life that are like that, there are many experiences that are like that. That's when they really use their selective understanding of English.
Okay.
Really act like they don't know.
Okay.
Let me ask, Dennis, let me just interrupt here. I'm sorry. If you are to become a mother, what would you tell your children? Would you allow them to go out and do this, or would you? Well, I think I would be very honest about my life and about what I do. I mean, I'm very, because I don't really do anything. Like, I'm just, I know about it, and I've experienced it in that community, and I just, I don't know, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think that children are naturally able to handle it, whatever you tell them in a very loving way, and I don't think that, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to have
Okay. Do you see yourself in the future perhaps having a role in politics and fighting for gay rights and other issues?
I would like to. I feel like that entertainment and politics are directly linked, and I do a lot of political work within the gay lesbian community in different areas. I do a lot of fundraising for AIDS research and helping people with AIDS and different AIDS clinics around the country. I do a lot of work with GLSEN, which is a wonderful organization for gay peace. And so there are different political organizations that I'm involved in. I was recently given an award from GLAAD for my promotion of gay images in the media, and that just happened this last June. So there are things that I'm doing that are very political, and yet I don't want to lose sight of my job, which is, I'm a stand-up comedian. I like people aspects. That's my work, and so. But I think that because I'm an entertainer with a voice, that I have this opportunity, this platform, that I can use it and use it for good.
Do you see yourself in the future probably running for office or having like a city council position in
I don't think so.
Okay.
I would go as far as that. I don't, but I don't know. I can't say. I'm not sure.
Okay. Back to the Pride magazine. How did that come about? The Face of Freedom.
They just asked me to do it. I was really honored and felt like it was a really appropriate thing. I love the other people in the magazine. Willie Pierce, of course, the director of Boys Don't Cry, which is my favorite film, and Wilson Cruz, who's a wonderful actor who I've been friends with for years. So it just was a great company and a perfect thing for me, as I'm going to be the Grand Marshal of the San Diego Pride Festival, as well as I was the Grand Marshal of San Francisco, and participating in Pride all across the country, in New York and LA in particular, and we'll continue to do so for the rest of the summer.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it was appropriate to be on the cover, and I'm such a participant.
Okay. Now with Stormy Weather, did you get hit on quite a bit?
It's funny. I did not really get hit on, because the people that did Stormy Weather mostly were in committed relationships. Most of the people that are involved in alternative sexuality are people who are already committed, which is fascinating.
That's cool. That's cool. We know that you're big with gay rights, and I was wondering what other issues in the world are you passionate about?
I'm really passionate about animal rights. I'm really passionate about women's rights and people of color. And I'm really passionate about gender and size, women's size, men's size, people who are larger, like that whole thing. I think that I would like to ideally unite the struggle of people of color, for women, for gay and lesbian, for people of size, people who don't feel like they fit in, people who feel like that they're minorities. I want to unite that because I feel like I embody all of those minorities, and that when we unite with each other, we see that even though our struggles are not exactly the same, they're similar, and that we all want equality, and that when we are together, we also see that we are no longer a minority, but we become the majority. So that, to me, is my most important point. Like that's what I want to do the most, is to really unify these different, vastly different communities, and show us that we all have so much in common. And that's what I would like to be. That's like my political, like speaking statement.
That's great. That's great.
I'm really proud of you. Margaret, I forgot to mention we got permission from your publicist to tape audio clips. Okay. So there's anything here that you don't want us to... No, that's fine. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Before I continue with more questions, I just have to say that I love your CD, Drunk with Power. And I was laughing my ass off, but if there was one thing that upsets me, there were no chapter tracks. What happened with that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. That particular company that I did that CD with was not very... It's not very well produced. And that's sort of why that came about.
I see. Can we expect another CD coming out?
Well, there is another one existing that was taped, I think, 2 years ago, and it was it's much more current, and it was a benefit CD for the Montrose accompanying the DVD video release of the film, which will probably happen later next year.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about your film, the one that I want, and it's been getting rave reviews. And I saw that it placed third among 250 films with the Seattle International Film Festival.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Really awesome. Tell us a little bit about what the movie's about.
Well, the film is, basically my stage show, which is about my experience doing television. I had a TV show called All American Girl, and it was the first Asian American family on television. And the whole thing was a very devastating experience for me, from beginning to end. And so the show is basically about my struggles through that and a way to find peace and self-love and in incredible adversity. And so that's what the film is about. And it's also just a stand-up comedy show. It's a story told in the language of jokes.
Was it filmed at one setting or many different settings?
Two shows, actually, a separate show on one same night in the 4 weeks later.
Okay. I know this is jumping a little bit too far with the movie, but once it's released on DVD, what kind of clip features or special features would you like to put on it?
I think that what we're going to put on it is, I have also a video diary of every performance and every gay pride rally and every political speech and every award show and everything that I've done, over the past year of the show. So, and there's lots of crazy shit and insane fans and a lot of fun stuff that will probably make it on the DVD. I think the DVD will be even more, there's so much there that could be a whole separate collection of just film clips from this very extraordinary year.
Okay. My buddy Eric Nakamura of Giant Robot, he said that you are going to be writing a book. And can you tell us a little bit more about this book?
The book is coming out next year, and it's also called I'm the One That I Wanted. It's my autobiography, and I just finished it 2 weeks ago. And congratulations. It was really an interesting experience to change my format of storytelling. And I've been working on the book for a year and a half, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done. I was so focused and committed to it. And doing the book and maintaining this very extensive tour schedule was certainly a challenge, but the book is done, and it's really, I think I'm really proud of it. So it's going to be out next year. It's being published by Valentine. I'm going to go on a book tour with it, and my new show should be ready by then. I'm starting to work on a new show in September, so at that point I'll be touring with the new show as well.
Let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back after these messages.
It's alive! Alive! I finally created one!
Created what, Master?
The perfect Japanese anime convention! I will call it Onicon.
What ingredients do you need for Onicon, Master?
I start with 24-hour anime rooms, video game tournaments, contests, and a huge room full of anime goodies to buy!
I love goodies, Master.
Then I add favorite voice actors from shows like Full Metal Alchemist and Dragon Ball Z to give autographs, artists, costume contests, and back-to-back concerts featuring bands like Echo Stream and Phantasmagoria.
Incredible, Master. An entire weekend full of fun.
Yes, Friday, October 21st through Sunday, October 23rd at the Park Plaza Hotel, Reliance Center, across from the Astrodome.
More, Master. I must know more.
Go to www.oni-con.com.
That's ONI-CON.com.
To find out more.
This is VT here with UConn. We're here to tell you about the Gaming's Edge Weekly Roundup. It's not your typical gaming podcast.
It's better than episode 2 of the Star Wars movies.
That's really not saying much, is it? Lest anyone in the world think that the United States has the market cornered on reckless, irresponsible behavior.
Newsflash, Jack.
there's porn available for download. This podcast by www.gamingsedge.com.
Are there other guys like me going to Soccer Girl Incorporated, rubbing one out every day? Double D's drowning me, rub them on my face. For my fantasies, say you want me. Barefoot Radio will be the envy, be the envy, be the envy. Barefoot Radio will be in your panties. Soccer girls, more than just tits. Got her wet from my big dick, not more really from my wit. Call me Polly Wally, Soccer Girlaholic. For my fantasy, say you want me. Barefoot Radio will be the envy of everything that goes swing. Every other man will be in mourning. Will you lick me? Will you kiss me? Rub your boobies on my face and then miss me. Soccer Girlaholic, shall we frolic, frolic? No! Oh! Only Barefoot Radio in the ladio. Oh! Impress the ladio with my radio. Barefoot Radio. Oh no!
Welcome to Baka Chat. Hey, this is E.T. from Baka Chat. Reverse culture shock at its best. www.inanet.com. That's AINANET.com. Mahalo. Now back to Kennedy with Jay Ant. The source, the only source for Japanese entertainment.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a Conversations episode 111 of JN Radio. And I apologize for the quality of that last interview. It's not that great, so my apologies for that. What you're about to listen to right now is a short interview with Tim Toyama, producer of Visas and Virtue. Visa and Virtues is about a Japanese diplomat and haunted by the sight of hundreds of Jewish refugees outside the consulate gates. A Japanese diplomat and his wife stationed in Lithuania at the beginning of World War II must decide how much they are willing to risk. The movie is inspired by a true story which explores the moral and professional dilemmas of a Japanese diplomat who is haunted by the sight of hundreds of Jewish refugees outside the consulate gates. The diplomat is faced in making a life or death situation, defy his own government's direct orders, risking his career in order to issue life-saving transit visas, or obey orders and turn his back on humanity. This Academy Award-winning movie pays tribute to the rescuer of the second largest number of Jews from the Holocaust. So here is an interview with the executive producer Tim Toyama. Earlier this year, I podcasted an interview with Chris Tashima, and this is pretty much a follow-up to that. So here's the interview with Tim Toyama, and after that you'll hear just a few articles I read from APR when I was a part of that publication. So here we go. Where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born in Chicago, but for all intents and purposes, I grew up in Los Angeles. And well, my parents met in Chicago after the war and married, and I was born there, but within a year they moved to Los Angeles where my dad grew up. And that's all I know is LA.
Where did you get the inspiration for Visas and Virtue?
The inspiration came from the radio. About 5 years ago, I was driving in to work, listening to National Public Radio, and heard the story about the Sugiharas. At that time, I was taking a playwriting class at East West Players, which is an Asian Pacific theater in Los Angeles. And when I heard the Sugihara story, well, first I was just astonished by the facts of it, and then I thought it would make a great play. So I started researching the story, but found very little about the Sugiharas. But I did have enough for a very short play. In fact, the play ended up being only 14 pages long. And we produced it, and the play itself ran 25 minutes. And but that's how I first heard of the Sugiharas, was on the radio.
Okay. What is the most satisfying part about being a producer or an Asian American involved in the industry? In the showbiz industry?
Well, I'll have to say the most satisfying was winning the Academy Award. But it's great in that our mission was to tell the story to as many people as possible, and the medium to do that is film. Because we did the play for 8 weeks, twice a week, in front of 45 people per show, and to reach as many people as we have by doing a play would take forever. And so with the film, we've been able to reach people all over the world, in Japan, in Europe, in South America, all over the United States, which is impossible as a play. So film is the medium to go to reach people if you have a message to tell.
Okay. What's the most frustrating part about being an Asian American in the showbiz industry?
Well, the most frustrating part is studios don't really want to make Asian American films because as far as the studio is concerned, they look at the bottom line, which is, will this film ever make any money? And so, but that's fine because then we'll just make it ourselves.
Final words. After tonight, you're going to have new fans of your work. And what final words would you like to leave for the Asian Americans and people here in the Central Valley?
Well, basically that the Asian history in this country is rich with stories, and there are so many stories to tell. And I think it's great when people want to tell the stories on film or in literature, because these stories are so important in that people need to know about them, because so many generations pass away without the story being told. So just find the stories and then put them down.
Asian American publications. Once upon a time in my life, there was a point where I would look forward to receiving A Magazine and Yolk Magazine. Sure, these magazines have gone through changes as years pass by when they were currently printing, but these magazines gave Asian Americans a sense of belonging and a sense of power to really go out there and make a difference. It's been a while since these magazines have gone out of print and no longer with us, but there are quite a few Asian American online publications for people to check out. But I do miss those magazines. Lee Min Lu writes, "Got fish? Have you ever been fishing? If you haven't, you need to give it a shot. That's what I did during my summer break. In fact, I'm quite addicted to fishing," said Lee. "Not too many girls I know are enthusiastic over fishing. Fishing appeals to me in a primitive way where I feel like I need to catch my next meal. A tug on the line gave me such an adrenaline rush that I wanted and did go fishing almost every day of the week. Most people don't think of fishing as a youthful sport. It is anyone's sport. It is not as boring as you think, because the feeling I get from catching a fish is unbeatable. However, fishing does require a lot of patience and perseverance. On my first day fishing, I was taught how to tie the hooks onto the line and how to throw my line out. If there was one thing I did not look forward to learning, it was how to put a worm through the hook. I've always been very squeamish about touching insects, but I knew to be a real fisherman, I had to do it. So I pulled myself together, picked up a fat nightcrawler from its box, and positioned the hook next to its slimy body. The worm must have been half asleep because it didn't really struggle while I held it. Boy, did it get a rude awakening when I poked the sharp point of the hook many times through its body. After I used a couple of worms, the squeamish feeling went away, and I got used to it. However, I couldn't help but feel sorry for the worms. I think one of the reasons why not too many young people like fishing is because it can become quite messy. Fishing is a rather get-down-and-dirty kind of sport. Whenever I returned from a fishing trip, I would smell so fishy, you would think it was a walking fish market. My jeans and my t-shirt would be stained with worm, juice, and fish slime because I just didn't care to waste my time where I could be fishing to go wash my hands. I found it immensely fun to hold a fish with both my bare hands because I have never caught anything besides colds in my life. One word of caution though, if it's a fish that is going to be released back into the waters, it is best not to hold it so as to wipe off its fish slime, which is very important for the fish's survival. If it's one you're going to eat, well, that's different. Aside from the physical action of fishing, I also enjoy catching bait and buying lures. Before I started fishing, I have never touched a worm, a cricket, or a grasshopper before, let alone hook them on a hook. When we had no luck with worms, I caught some crickets and grasshoppers and used them as bait. They did not work any better than worms, but running after flying grasshoppers and wiggly crickets while waiting for a fish to bite the hook sure beats sitting and waiting. Waiting out in the hot sun was worth it, even to catch a small bass. I got a natural suntan, not to mention accelerated my chances of getting skin cancer while doing what I love best, Most girls love to shop, and I'm not an exception, says Lee Min-lo. But my favorite thing is to shop for lures. I like looking for plastic worms, buying them, and trying them out the next day to see how well they attracted the fish. When I walk through the fishing accessories aisle, I feel like a kid in a candy store trying to pick out the most appealing lure. There are many varieties of fish you can catch, but the fish that I really look forward to seeing at the end of my line is a bass. These fish are probably the most aggressive fish you can catch on a lake. They respond to the hook in their mouth by struggling and splashing, and they put up quite a fight when you try to reel them in. For me, the best part about fishing is eating the fish. I enjoy fishing and I love eating the fish I catch. Most fishermen fish for recreation purposes, so they don't really eat the fish that they catch. Well, they don't know what they're missing, because I love fish, especially bass. My favorite way to cook them is to steam them so the flavor stays in the flesh. Next, hot oil with soy sauce is poured onto the fish and a sprinkle of chives, onions, and ginger is added. It's a simple dish to make and it's extremely delicious. So if you're wondering what to do this weekend, go fishing. My favorite lake to go to is Bass Lake. It's not just a place to fish. You can swim, picnic, or just enjoy the beautiful scenery. Remember to drive safe. Lee Min-lo. Mian, What's That? By Ket Seichao. Have you ever really stopped to notice exactly how diverse our world is today? I mean, not only is this whole planet cluttered with all these different individuals from all walks of life, there probably are even many others that we normally overlook. For the many individuals who aren't aware of all these little groups within this little Asian cluster, let me just say that there are so many smaller groups within this larger one that it knocks the whole all Asians look like stereotype down. I've noticed this when others take upon the basic assumption of me being another ethnicity group such as Chinese, Filipino, or Lao. But the fact of the matter is, I'm Liu Min, or what is more commonly known as Min. This particular Southeast Asian nationality originated from southern China over 2,000 years ago. They then began migrating to Laos, then to Thailand, and from Thailand to the United States. Now at this day of age, they are known to reside in China, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, France, Denmark, New Zealand, United States, and Canada. There are many different versions of the legend of how Mians came about, but they basically contain the same idea of the creation of the 12 clans. It all started with the Emperor of China, Ping Hung, who was attacked by another very powerful emperor, Cao Wang. Fan Hu, a third person, fought through this battle, bringing back Cao Wang's head to the Emperor Ping Hung. As a reward, Fan Hu received the emperor's daughter to be his wife. The two then moved back to the mountains where they had 12 children, 6 boys, 6 girls, which of course started the legendary 12 clans known to the Mians. Aside from the slight variation in spelling as time evolved them, these were the 12 clans. Seichao, Seitern, Seifan, Seili, Saifang, Seido, Saichin, Saiyang, Saisao, Sailao, Saidorn, and Saiyong. Mians speak a Miao Yao language, which is said to be somewhat related to the Sino-Tibetan family of languages. Most of its influences came from Chinese, Laos, and Thai, which sometimes can be detected in speech, but more words, characters, and traditions were borrowed from China. In many ways, I agree that the whole Mian culture is slightly similar to the Chinese culture, but yet there are many differences that make the distinction more recognizable. Just within Fresno Visalia area, there's a rough estimate about 300 families. This actually makes up a rather good-sized community compared to other smaller tribal groups. Yet this number is very small compared to the Hmong community, which is Fresno is most popular for. The large Mian communities rest in Northern California cities like Sacramento, which houses 1,000 families, Richmond at another 1,000 families, Oakland at 400, Merced at 400, and Redding at 270. There are also other cities such as Oroville, North Highlands, San Jose, and Stockton that contain smaller Mian communities, as well as out-of-state communities like those in Seattle, Washington, Portland, Aloha, and Salem, Oregon, Alaska, Illinois, Alabama, Texas, and North Carolina. So with that quick overview of the Mian history, perhaps the culture will become more recognized. Perhaps not, but at least it's not known to be separate from the other minority groups roaming this campus. Ket Seichao.
Visit JANT on the web at www.nt2099.com/J-ENT and email JANT Radio at nt2099@gmail.com. See you next time.